This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
A very good evening to everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful bank holiday Monday. It's extra time on a Monday night. It's bank holiday. It's been a beautiful weekend. The sun's been shining. The sky has been blue. Goals have been flying in. However, none of them have been flying into the opposition net, so to speak, because Wolves managed to not even get a shot on target yet again at the weekend out at the Emirates. And you know what? It was a fantastic day, to go down, to go down to London with the Always Wolves, some of the Always Wolves squad. Always have a good time. Away days, I love away days. But boy, we've only had 2 wins all season away from home. Southampton away, fantastic. That was a great weekend, actually. And what a great result it ended up being. And then, of course, the last-minute winner against Everton at Goodison, magical. 5 draws. Other than that, absolutely useless on the road, so to speak. Not very good at all. And, it wasn't very good, was it, at the Emirates Stadium? We've already got over 100 watching. It's going to be an open forum tonight. It's going to be an open forum this evening. So I'm going to put the link down here for you, and any one of you guys can come on tonight and have your say. So the link is there. Click on that. It'll take you into the green room, and we're doing an open forum. So any one of you can come on and get involved with the discussion. The main thing is that the Premier League season is now over, done and dusted. Just hold there just 1 second. Thank you. I'm going to turn this light off. Down. There we go. Oh no, I'm going to need to put it on because of the light. There you go. Sorry about that. You're going to need the light. It's all right. There we go. As you can see, I've turned the light. I've turned where I normally face round today, and that's because in the conservatory, the light is quite thin. It's sort of been shaded out, so I've got the ring light on, as you can probably see. But I'm also wearing glasses for the first time, so it just basically means I'm trying these out because at about the third attempt, I've got some varifocals, and I'm trying to get used to wearing them a little bit. So if I look a little bit different, let me know if you like the glasses look. So look, if you want to get on the show, there's the link. Get on there, click on it. You'll be put into the green room. We're doing an open forum. We're going to be talking everything about the game from yesterday, of course. We're going to be talking about the concerns over the summer, issues that sort of like have raised, really, and then we're going to be obviously looking ahead to the summer, and there is a secret word tonight as well, and we're going to get onto all of that. I mean, it's been a crazy old season in so many ways. If you think about the start of the season, what happened in pre-season. The players that were bombed out and left, Cody going to Everton, Saiss leading, John Ruddy thinking he was going to get a new contract, then was let go. Lots of our leaders out the dressing room. World Cup comes. We've got 10 points from 15 games. The fact of the matter is Bruno Lage was brought in to score more goals. That's why we changed it, and that's why they changed the system and everything else with regards to that. And it started so well for him, didn't it, until February of 2022, and then it all went completely downhill. And obviously Bruno Lage was sacked, and eventually got Julian in, and Julian has done a fantastic job, really. 31 points from the remaining fixtures to getting us to 41 points, I think it is. But we still only scored 31 goals, guys. 31 goals, which is the lowest scoring top flight or in the Premier League that Wolves.
Hello, Jack.
Hi, Chris. You all right?
Yeah, I think it's froze.
I think Dave's frozen, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Frozen in time. Should we?
You go yesterday?
I did go yesterday, yeah, for my sins, yeah. What about yourself?
No, I've been travelling a lot last 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
I caught it on the telly, and here he is.
Hello.
Oh, he's back. He's back. Here we are.
Are we back?
We can hear you, Dave.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because I've got glasses on. Hello.
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 Can you hear us? Earth
Yes.
calling
Yes.
Chris, the bus
I
driver.
can hear you. I can hear you.
Internet's just terrible. Hello.
I can hear you, Dave.
We can hear you, Dave.
Can the world hear us? Oh, I'm really sorry about this.
Oh, it's gone again.
Frozen again. There we go.
No, I watched it on TV. It was. I think that was our worst performance of the season. Actually, I think it was worse than the Brighton one.
I think marginally, yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot in it. They were both dreadful, but I mean, yesterday was so disappointing. I mean, disappointing sounds kind, doesn't it? But that's kind of how you felt deflated watching it. You were kind of like, I mean, for me, Lopetegui's missed such a good opportunity these last few games to really sort of bed a new team in for the new season and try to get a bit of a settled rhythm. We've had so many changes, haven't we? I mean, I couldn't quite get my head around what he was trying to do yesterday.
I got a sneaking suspicion he's demonstrating to those above him that what he's got to play with isn't any good, and unless they do something, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. But it's a dangerous game to play, isn't it? And and it's not fair on the fans that turn up and pay the money, is it? For Lopetegui to, I'm not saying he threw the game, but to make a political point against the owners with his team selection when people are paying money to watch and obviously tuning in to watch it and whatever. I'm not sure that's kind of fair game, but yeah, it was a strange selection and a bit of a mismatch of a team, wasn't it? You know, Jimenez and Traore played who we all sort of expect to leave, and he left Neves out, and I don't know why Dawson didn't play. That for me was the most baffling thing of all. But yeah, it's changed the goalkeeper again.
Can you turn the light on?
Yeah,
guys, am I back now?
Yes, you are, Dave.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why that's just gone out. We just seem to have had a little bit of a shortage there. Please.
There's no lights on.
Turn them on.
You said turn it off.
There we go. Trying to get some light. God, it's like not very professional tonight, is it? Like it's got new glasses. It's like I can't see anything what's going on or anything like that.
Well, we're just mirroring the team.
On the head.
Yeah.
Dave's glass is not working. He's hitting all the wrong buttons.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta laugh. Listen, guys, it feels a little bit like Wolves season. This does. It's like, you know, some of the players switching off for periods of time.
I think Dave's on the beach, isn't it? It's his last show of the series. He's like, I'm phoning it in. Yeah, I've done all the hard work.
Now.
Yeah,
there you go.
There we go.
I'll try that for a bit.
Like the end of term, isn't it? Where you wear your own clothes and you take your toys in. It's like, yeah.
It's making me dizzy.
There we go.
Now, listen, it's like VAR, that was, waiting for a VAR decision, and there's not really knowing what's going on at all. It's absolutely crazy. Listen, you've got to have a laugh here. I mean, I'm ever so sorry. Not the best start to a show ever have, but it's comedy anyway. So, as I say, if you want to get on the show tonight, it is a free-for-all. Don't be shy. We want to get everyone's views. That's the link. All you have to do is click on that. You'll get it. You'll be able to make sure you're using get on and off your phone and stuff like that. Get on there, and you'll be able to come and join in the chat. So yeah, fantastic. Jack, what were you saying, mate?
No, me and Chris were just saying about we didn't quite understand the team selection, and Chris said was Lopetegui making a point to the owners about the sort of the lack of options and the fact that he thinks effectively that the squad isn't good enough. I think he referenced, didn't he, post-match? He said our team is worse than the ones that went down, which if I was a Wolves player, I wouldn't want to hear that from my manager. But, you know, I mean, yes, like I said yesterday, didn't feel to me like, I mean, I was saying this, I don't know whether you two agree and feel free to disagree, but last week at the Everton game, we had the lap of appreciation. We had the end of season awards. I know the staff have had their end of season awards in the week. The players, I mean, Costa had a farewell barbecue at the training ground on Thursday, didn't they? It was almost like the whole club forgot that we still got a game. It was almost like everyone thought the Everton game was it, and then that was the time the season was done. And it was almost like yesterday, everyone kind of went, "Oh, blimey, we've got to play Arsenal on the last day," and they didn't seem prepared. We didn't seem up for it. We weren't motivated. There wasn't any thought gone into the selection, I don't think.
I'm a little bit surprised at what's happened the last 2 weeks. We've got players that are deciding they're not going to play and just don't turn up, and not just fringe players who've been discarded and treated unfairly in their eyes all year. It's just a very, very special footballer. And somebody's put quite a shift in, I think, for the money we bought him for, who's just not turning up, and I just don't know how the bonding, the relationships in the club, it looks like it's imploded from the outside. Podence is putting stuff on his Instagram. I've lost track of trying to fathom about what the hidden message is. There's definitely one. But
He's been putting stuff on his Instagram.
Yeah, coincidence. He keeps putting coincidence, no coincidence. He's not in the team, no coincidence, and then very strange stuff. Over the last week or so, I've noticed it.
Well, I mean, let's come on to that. I mean, because there's a statement that was put out on that. It said that both Podence, Neto, and Costa all had niggling injuries that they were playing through, and because we were safe, they've gone to get them sorted, and that's why they weren't in the squad. What do you make of that, Jack?
I mean, it seems like very convenient, doesn't it, that three players that he's seemingly fallen out with or is told haven't got a future are suddenly injured for the last game of the season or are unavailable through operations or surgery or something. So, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and call Lopetegui a liar, far from it, but it does seem very convenient that Podence has suddenly got to have a surgery on his nose and then Costa's got a tight hamstring or whatever, when we know full well that perhaps in the case of Costa, certainly he's been told that he's not going to get a contract and he's not going to be here next year. And I'm fairly sure Podence is on Lopetegui's hit list as well, isn't he, for someone that he's probably going to try and move on for a fee and something. So it's unraveling a little bit, isn't it? You know, and I think we've kind of said that we all appreciate the job that Julien's done. He's done fantastic to get us 31 points from the 23 games, is it something now? But we shouldn't be celebrating the fact that we've stayed up, because with the investment that we've had and the quality of players that we've got in the squad, staying in the Premier League is not just the minimum, but that's kind of what you just kind of expect us to do. And Leicester is a case in point that you shouldn't take it for granted. But I think we were entitled as fans to expect a little bit better. And it seems that we've kind of stayed up, and that's great. And we're all really grateful. But then it's just sort of all started to unravel, and it's become a little bit ragged, and there's stuff coming out into the press that, for my money, should never be coming out into the press.
What sort of points do you make? What sort of points are those that you're on about, the things coming out into the press? You're on about his mate,
Well, yeah, it's that kind of. I mean, that should be the last resort, shouldn't it? Going to the press. Lopetegui should be going to Jeff Shee first and Matt Hobbs and saying, let's sort this issue out between us internally. Let's have a conversation and some dialogue and work out what we need to do and where you sit and where I sit, and let's see if we can meet somewhere and compromise. And then if you don't get that, then perhaps you escalate it and you go not above them, obviously, but you try and get involved again. And then talking to the press is probably your last resort. Mourinho always used to do that, didn't he, at a club? When you knew it was the end of Mourinho's time at the club, when he started talking to the press about how unhappy he was and how he wasn't being backed and this kind of thing. Lopetegui seems to have very quickly gone, I need to talk to the press, I need to talk to Balaguer and whoever, this and that and the other, and get my point across. I understand what he said when he said the fans deserve to know the truth. Absolutely. But I think he's jumped the gun a little bit and kind of, airing the club's dirty laundry, if that makes sense. And
yeah,
it shades the whole club in a bad light, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to come onto what he said in the press conference. I just want to, first of all, say some people put in we're worse than Leicester. We're not worse than Leicester. We're not worse than
the table says
we're not worse than Leeds. We're not worse than Southampton. We're not worse than. We have finished 13th in the Premier League after 38 games. After 38 games, you finish where you deserve to finish. Leicester are worse than us. So are Leeds, so are Southampton, and so are every other club that has finished below us in the table. The only exception to that I might allow is maybe West Ham, because they've had European football and they've had a bit more strain on their squad. So maybe they've got a stronger squad, and that could argue. But I'm not having all of this about Leicester are better than us. They're not. They're not better than us. Everton are not better than us. They are relegated. Leicester, Leeds and Southampton, and they are relegated because they are the worst three teams in the division over 38 games. Sam's come on and put a post on here. And Sam, I'm inviting you onto the show. You can come on and we can have a nice little chat about your points, because you like to say what you think, but I always think you come across sometimes a little bit negative. Sam's put everything that the head coach is the issue to here, folks. The players don't want to play for him now. The club have told him no money without selling players. Jack, a fantastic job. That's a joke. It's just you're the.
I mean that's just nonsense, Dave. I mean, the Lopetegui is the reason that we are where we are.
Paul,
if we'd have not done a change.
Stop there, Paul. You are right to have your opinion, absolutely. And again, the link is there, and you can come on the show and have your opinion. And we obviously, I'm not trying to say you can't have your opinion, but the facts of the matter are, Paul. And for anyone that says Leicester are worse than us, it doesn't stack up. You can't say Leicester, we're worse than Leicester when they are relegated and finish below us in the table. That's a fact. That's black and white. They are worse than us. Therefore, they've gone down. So you can't say that, because over 38 games, they're worse than us. That's not even a grey area. It's a fact. Obviously, we can have differences of opinion on, the management and the players and stuff like that. But in a league table, if the three teams that go down are the worst teams in the division, that's black and white. Let's come on to Lopetegui's. This is where we start the discussion. That's why I put concerns for the summer. And I agree. Paul, Leicester beat us twice. So did Leeds. Huddersfield beat us twice. They only won 3 games all season when they went down. We are the givers to help these teams, and they still go down. That's how bad they are. Just because they beat us twice doesn't mean they're better than us. It just means that
people are getting confusing actual performances and potential performances. And I probably agree that Leicester on paper, the way they were, the way they should be playing, the team they got should be a lot higher in the league. I think we should have been higher in the league. But I don't think we played as a team all season.
Absolutely. And I think this is the point.
I think that's the difference.
I think that's the point Paul is actually, and others are trying to put across. we haven't looked like a cohesive team consistently in, the Liverpool game was the one game. I think against Brentford, I thought we're good. I thought we showed a lot of character against Leicester away, and stuff. But as a team, we haven't looked like a team, proper team all season. For any consistent period. We've played well for 20 minutes here and there. We've had a couple of good performances, but they're so inconsistent. And it's a concern when the manager, the head coach, is coming out and has got his mate Guillem Balagi over Guillem Balagi. Hopefully, I've
Blimey. It was that bad. It's turned off.
Yeah, Guillem Balaguer, I think.
Guillem Balaguer
was trying to say. Yeah. No, I think what we're trying to say is that from where we were when Lopetegui took over, he's done well to get us where we are, and I don't think anyone can dispute that. I think if you look at objectively, we had 10 points from 15 games. Now we were the worst team in the league pre-World Cup because the league table doesn't lie. We'd scored 8 goals. We'd kept 3 clean sheets in 50. We were absolutely dreadful.
I think we were 4 points off the next team, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So to say that with 3-4 games to go, Lopetegui's done what we expected him to do and what we asked him to do, and then some. So and Lopetegui will probably say, I could have done better. We've had some poor results, some poor performances along the way. Absolutely. And I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, I thought yesterday was dreadful performance. I thought Brighton was terrible. I thought Man United was awful. I thought Leeds at home and Bournemouth at home were really poor performances. So we're not coming on and saying Lopetegui is the reincarnation of Brian Clough and anything like that. And he's a miracle worker. We're saying he's done the job that we wanted him to do. And he's kept us in the league where we were dead and buried, if we're being brutally honest, at the midway point or at the World Cup break. So, unfortunately, like I said, I think we've started to unravel a little bit. And I think he's taken a strange decision to make it very public, something that he probably should. We don't know. He might have had these conversations in private with Hobbs and Shea and whoever it is. And then he's not got the answers he's wanted. And then he's gone, well...
I think that they've had that conversation. They had one in January, and what they told him wasn't what he now understands. And I think he's not happy. I don't think you'd have come if you knew what he knew. And I think that's
I don't buy into all of this at all. I rate Lopetegui extremely high. He's in an incredibly strong position. He's gone and done what he said he was going to do. He's kept us up. He's a strong manager. There's been issues going on and off throughout the last few months with Aït-Nouri bombed out, Raul bombed out, players coming in and disappearing. There's something not completely right. He's a strong character. Nuno is a strong character. Remember Barry Douglas? Bang, gone. I don't think he messes about if he's very disciplined and he's the law, in regards to this. But he's not naive. He's an experienced head coach. He's not naive. He understands about financial fair play. Lopetegui, he's not stupid. He's only got to look at what Wolves have spent in the previous 2 or 3 summers to quickly understand where they are. Wolves, I don't think the initial plan was to spend as much as they did in the summer. And Lopetegui has gone to them and says, I'm going to come in. I need this, and this. And, you can go on at Fosun as much as you like. And at Jeff, they've dropped the ball big time with Nuno, and they've made mistakes under Lodge, and they've made some silly signings that's gone wrong, and they've wasted money potentially on some of the things. But they backed him in January. They delivered on what he wanted, and we had 5 great signings. Lemina's come in, Dawson's come in. I think Kuna's a player. I think Nunes hasn't quite hit the heights of what he is, but we know he's got potential. I mean, Lopetegui's talked about him. They splashed the cash. Wolves have spent £200 million on players in the last 12 months. Lopetegui is not naive enough not to understand financial fair play. And if you're telling me that a guy as intelligent as Lopetegui is that naive not to understand effort. Of course, he understands it, but
I'm not saying to understand it, Dave. What I think may have happened is that the issues may have been watered down slightly. I think he may have been told, don't worry about that because the main group is going to invest and they're going to have a problem with. I don't think they've been 100% honest with him because he's been very quiet in the press all season and now it's just out.
Yeah, I mean, let's just read what he actually. I'm going to read to you what he actually said at his press conference, which is interesting. So this is what Lopetegui had to say. It's not easy to play this kind of match when you've achieved the big aim 3 matches before. We tried to do it, but we couldn't. They were at home and wanted to finish well. They're a fantastic team in the squad. That is why you are not at your best level. We all agree that Arsenal are a fantastic team. They're not second in the league for no reason. They're obviously a fantastic league and they destroyed us. Although I think we made it easy for them. It was Keystone Cops defending at time. I want to highlight the merit of the players in the second half of this season. They finish out the relegation with 3 matches to go, playing against better squads than us. That paragraph on its own, he's basically there going to his players and he's giving the players a pat on the back. Well done, guys. That's great. They've done fantastic. But in the same sentence, he's also putting another subliminal message out there saying, and I think this is what Paul and a few others have referred to. There are a lot Leicester, you think, like what you said, should have done a lot better than what they've done with the players that they've got. And they didn't. And I think that's the point. In terms of squad and players and stuff, you could argue that Leicester have got a better squad, but they've still finished below us. So get that point. But again, that's another subliminal sort of nod to what his narrative is at this point. With the squad, we have suffered a lot. We have to be ready to improve and we have to invest and improve if we want to compete next season. I think every one of us would agree that we need to invest in the right type of player. Let's continue. He says, and this is the line for me, which worries me, and I think worries a lot of us. I am coach of Wolves currently. I don't like that. That bothers me when he uses language like that. But of course, I am ambitious. We want our manager to be ambitious. We want our owners to be ambitious. As fans, we want to, be playing attractive football, going for a cup, trying to qualify for Europe. I think we'd all agree with that. But the most important thing is to say the truth to our fans. And if we have a problem, we have to solve the problem because we're competing in the Premier League and there's a big, big demand. The rest of the teams will do the same. Now is the moment to analyse and tell the truth. I'm going to stop there on that. Yeah, what do you think what he means by, I'm going to come on to the last sentence in this paragraph in a minute. What do you think about now is the time to analyse and tell the truth? What do you think he means by that?
I think he means that now that we've achieved what we wanted to and we've stayed up, that now he perhaps needs to tell the truth of what he's been up against and how he's actually felt the level of squad. I mean, because Lopetegui isn't going to come out and say, Bruno Lage was a terrible manager and we've signed some really bad players and we've made some really poor choices. But that's probably what he feels. And so what he's doing there is he's saying, well, actually, I've done a good job here, but I've probably done a better job than you realise. Because actually there were more things at play there that were against me than perhaps the wider fan base understand. I think the biggest line to take from that, I don't know if you were going to mention this, was where he said, I'm the Wolves manager, but I'm ambitious.
Yeah.
Does he mean that he thinks the club aren't ambitious? Is that what he's getting at, do you think?
I think this is all the things that we're trying to think about. What is the message? He goes on to say, the future does not depend on me. It depends on the club. I hope we're going to do the necessary things despite the financial problems. Now we're celebrating being out the relegation against very good teams like Leeds, Leicester and Southampton. And next year, you can ask me. What does he mean by, and next year you can ask me?
I mean, I'm guessing, again, he's just sort of saying, I mean, is he actually at a point where he's saying, back me or sack me? Is he saying, I'm a manager. I think we've done well to finish 13th from where we were, but I don't want to finish 13th next year. I want to finish 9th, 8th, 7th, for example. but I need to have investment. I need to be given carte blanche, if you like, to move players on and bring players in. And if you're not going to do that, I'm not going to stick around to finish 13th year in, year out. Because I'm Lopetegui and I've won the Europa League and I've managed Real Madrid, I've managed Spain, and I've done all the. I think he's got a big ego, which you like in a manager. But I think he's kind of gone about it the wrong ways, and he's almost painted himself into a corner. And
I think it's a translatory thing. I think it's not his native language. I think he's just being open. He's telling the truth. He didn't think the squad was good enough, and he's thinking he's done a good job getting us where we have, and he has. Because where were we? We were bottom, 4 points behind the next place. You know, it's already, you know. So that's just him being open. I think he's saying we've got to look. The club's got to do something because we can't carry on next season with the players we've got. We've got to make changes. So I think we like to try and think there's hidden words and messages and threats in there. I think a lot of it is translated. I mean, it's obvious that they've got a money issue. It's obvious that he needs to do something with the squad because he doesn't feel it's good enough, and he's been truthful now, and I think that's the word he's used. The squad wasn't good enough. I think he's just saying it is, and when he says ask me next year, I think he's saying, you know, once we've got through the summer and we've asked me what I think about the squad is next year. So I don't think it's a threat, or I don't think he's trying to leave, or I think he's probably putting a bit of pressure on the board to say, look, I'm gonna tell everybody how it is. The squad's not good enough. We need to invest. And if you don't do it, we're gonna have a hard season. I'm not sure he's threatening because he's got a contract. He's going to be held to it. And if he was looking to move, he'd be doing it quietly and negotiating with clubs already. And I think so. I don't think that's happening. I think it's more he wants to stay. He wants to do a good job. He's always been quite complimentary of the fans, and he said, I think a few days ago, that performance is not very good. These fans are wonderful and need much better. So I don't think it's that ominous. I think it's just bad English. I noticed he had a translator there with him. It was one of the coaches was acting as a translator yesterday, but he tried to do it all himself. And maybe that's what it is. That's me trying to put rose-tinted spectacles on it, I guess.
Well, absolutely. I mean, all of this is what creates uncertainty. There's uncertainty, and we shouldn't be having uncertainty going into a massive, big summer window. Now, where's the onus? Where's the thing? I'm not particularly pleased with the fact that he's gone to his journo friend to put out messages like that, and then he's also come out and said like the likes of Spurs should be looking at Lopetegui, which he also put out in a tweet. That is concerning because obviously Spurs looking for a manager. Is Lopetegui looking for Spurs to come in and, you know, go for him? I'm not so sure.
I've got a few angles on that day because I was so social media. Gillan Ballack wasn't the guy that broke it. It was being broken by UK journalists first, and he then piled in and added a bit more on. And I don't know whether some of that is him just sensationalising it, because it seemed to be a little bit. Oh, hang on, you're piling in now. Whereas if you'd have been the real journal, you'd have done the scoop, and this would have been out hours before. But even Liam Keane had put something in it before Ballack had. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I'll put with the title concerns for the summer and stuff like that, because it is an important summer. You know, the fans, the Molineux's got a lot stronger. There's been a lot. I mean, Jack, you'll know the initiatives that's been going on. You'll know. I mean, I'm sure Russell Jones won't mind me saying this, that me and Jack sit on the Matchday Experience group, and Russell has come on to the Matchday Experience now and quoted Julian, hasn't he? Julian wants to make the atmosphere at Molineux better. He wants us to do this. He wants the fans to do that. He wants to create a real atmosphere. And hence the initiatives with the old gold pack come in with looking great. The change of the playlist on the way in, all different initiatives that have been talked about. And very often Russell's come onto that group, and it's Julian that's kind of like created the the reaction from Russell to say, what can we do to make the atmosphere even better? Obviously, one of the things that you can do best is win games and score goals. I mean, I went to the Emirates I don't know, a couple of years ago, and it was dead. And you go there now, and it's raucous, fantastic. They got the song, the anthem. It was brilliant and fantastic. But they are playing attractive, fantastic football.
Second in the league, Dave.
Exactly. So good football, winning sides, goals. When you're watching Drudge every week and you're not scoring a goal, and it's cold and wet, especially during the winter period, it's hard to keep putting the onus on the fans to create the atmosphere. It should be a two-way.
It's hand in glove. When the club spend the money they did at the start of the season, we all got excited and then watched the first 7 games and gone, oh shit. Then it's hard to come back from there, and that's where we've been all season.
And it's sort of, the atmosphere has got a lot better as the season's gone on, but so has the results hand in hand. I mean, our home form has been, apart from the results against Leeds, and then the result against Bournemouth, who let's face it, they've had a great season to get out of it. They had one shot, came off his knee, went in 1-0, but that's all down to Wolves not putting the ball in the back of the net again. And how many times, I'd love to know the stats, how many times this year have we registered like we did at the weekend? No shots on target. No shots on target in the whole match. Not one. It's happened not once, not twice. It's a trend and it's a worry, and it needs to be resolved. Our away form, it's has been dreadful. I remember a period, it was under Nuno, where when we went to London, we expected to win or draw. Now, when we go, we never lost. Our away form was fantastic. We used to go in bloody noses of Arsenal and Tottenham and United and City and Chelsea and all of them. And, we haven't bloodied anyone's nose away from home, and that's got to improve. Can't always rely on the home form, and the home form's dug us out of it. So it's really, really worrying. Let's just go on to the game a little bit, because obviously we're going to come back onto the Julian Lopetegui and Jeff Shee thing. Jack, what would you like to say about the game? And we'll also talk about, we'll come on to the performance and stuff like ratings and man of the match in a bit. What would you like to say about yesterday's game? What were your thoughts?
I thought it was dreadful. I mean, I think the first thing we've got to say, I think Arsenal played well. They did. And I think they're a good team. And I think the way they've played this year, they'd have won the Bundesliga, they'd have won La Liga, they'd have won Serie A. It's just the fact that Manchester City are such a good team and they've got such a great mentality that Arsenal haven't won the league this year. That's probably all it is. They've just come up against a very, very good Manchester City team. But we made it so easy for them. I mean, the first goal is straight at the goalkeeper. The second goal, Kilman backheels it straight to the guy for a sliding tap-in on the penalty spot. The fourth goal is a free header on the far post. The fifth goal is straight at the goalkeeper again. I mean, the third goal is a great goal, but you can't go to a place like Arsenal.
By Saka, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen Bueno be ripped apart like that at all. And I think whoever we had at left back yesterday would have struggled against Saka. So I'm not going to dig out Hugo Bueno at all on that one. He struggled, of course he did, but I don't think it was because anything to do with him. It was just how good Saka was. But you can't go to Arsenal. You can't go to anywhere in the Premier League, let's be fair, and give away the goals that we did and expect to get anything at all from the game. And especially when we're so sort of anemic going forward and we don't look like scoring. I mean, I think Totti had a header from a corner that dribbled wide, and Joe Hodge had a header in added time that went over the bar. That was as close as we came to scoring. So when you're not creating anything feasible for a goal scoring chance and you're conceding 3 or 4 poor goals through your own poor defending, you're going to get battered. You're going to get absolutely marmalised, and that's exactly what happened. And I think as much as we can talk about attitude and were we on the beach, did it really matter, this, that and the other, you've got to have professional pride. And as a team, you've got to go out there and say, well, we've got a certain standard that we need to hit, regardless of the circumstances. Whatever's on the game, whatever's not on the game, there's a certain things that we need to do as a team. And they fell way, way short yesterday. Way short. of what you'd want from Wolverhampton Wanderers team. It was really, really poor, and I'm struggling to think of any positives at all. I really am.
I made a point after the game. I don't know if you've watched any of you watched the instant reaction. The Wolves faithful, we sell out every game. Every game we'll sell out. They're there in their thousands. It's not cheap, and we talk about, like, obviously things are a bit tougher for people, with everything that's happened in the last 3 years, of the pandemic, the war, the fuel prices, the inflation. It's not, it's not tough, but still, we sell out Molineux every game. We sell out every away game. You pay for your tickets, you pay for your transport. Sometimes you pay for hotels, you're paying for food, you're paying for drink. It's an expensive business following your team home and away. And when within 15 minutes, 22 minutes, you're 3-0 down, I put the Brighton performance, the Brighton result, it can happen to anyone. Any team can get beat in this division. But it was very similar in my eyes to the Brighton game, is the fact that Brighton were a little bit low on confidence at the time going into that game. Hadn't had the best of runs. Arsenal were a bit low on confidence, probably. They'd probably got over the grieving process and come to the exception process. They'd lost the league and wanted to put on a show. They got the new shirt. But, you got to keep it tight for the first 20 minutes. Not concede any silly chances and, try and get into the game. And if you give a Brighton or an Arsenal a goal in the first few minutes and then a second one, all of a sudden their tails are up, their confidence is back, and they're ripping you apart. And that's what happened. And it could have been a lot more, couldn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the worst performance of the season. I think it was the worst performance. I think there was nothing on it. You looked at some of those lads that are playing that, some of them have got to prove a point, maybe. They didn't prove anything. They were miles off it. The back four was shocking. Kilman can't play a decent game unless he's got Dawson by the side of him. And thinking back, he probably never did it unless he had Cody next to him previously. So, he was poor. I've been calling out Collins all season, Dave. I just don't think he's a Premiership standard defender. And then you've got a confidence right back that'll have a good game, but he's a confidence guy, and when you've got that going on by the side of you, then he just switches off. Bueno, I think, has been injured, not back in. Toti's been playing, so he was a little bit off the pace, and Saka just ripped her rings. Terrible. The midfield, I think, were missing by and large. It was just, don't think really anybody applied themselves properly.
I saw Adama Traore, for me, because he had a contract. Out of all the players on there, he seemed to be putting a shift in and fighting and trying.
I gave him a higher rating than everybody else. To be fair, he did.
He
should have had a penalty.
Check out Chris's match report on player ratings on alwayswolves.co.uk. That'll put a smile on your face. Jack, highlight of the day, performance rating, man of the match.
Bit of gallows humour. I suppose the highlight of the day is the fact that there's no more games for a couple of months. I think we've all had enough of the season. That it's been draining. It's not nice to be in a relegation battle. And even though we've had the right outcome, I suppose, well, we absolutely have. It's taken its toll on the fan base. I think it was really quiet in the away end yesterday. There's a bit of Mickey taking with Arsenal. You nearly won the league, etc., etc. But like you say, once it's 3-0 after 20 minutes, even our fans kind of went, yeah, whatever, it's done. If they're not putting the effort in on the pitch, why should we sing and shout and cheer for them? So it was very flat. And I think the highlight is season's done and we can hopefully regroup and refresh. Man of the match, I'm going to go a little bit sort of off the beaten track a little bit. I'm going to go for Boubacar Traore because I thought in the half an hour he was on the pitch, 25 minutes, I thought he showed exactly why a few people were quite excited about him when he first come on into the team way back. It feels a long time ago, at the start of the season. I would struggle to pick any of the starters as man of the match, and I'd just go with Boubacar because I thought he showed a little bit, and I think he looks like the kind of player that, yes, we're going to lose Neves, and that's a real blow for us as a football club because of what he represents in terms of what he's done. But with the likes of João Gomez, who I thought also was okay yesterday, and Boubacar coming through, I think we perhaps won't miss Neves as much as we perhaps should, because I think we've got a couple of young players there that are ready to step up and fill that void. Performance rating, it's a 0, isn't it, David? There was just absolutely nothing as a fan that you could stick your hat on and go, I liked that. That was not. I liked that. That was good. It was just absolutely. It was insipid. So it's a 0.
Chris,
I think I agree with Jack. Well, 2 highlights today. The highlight for me is I didn't go and watch it. The second one was that it's the end of the season, and there's a lot of worry that comes with that. The days of Nuno and semi-finals at Wembley and Europa Leagues are gone. We're a shadow of that side and club now, and that's the thing that concerns me moving forward, is how we get back to that. I don't know what the answer is. Man of the match, I think I'll stick with what I did yesterday. So similar to Jack, I gave man of the match to Joe Hodge, because actually when he came on, he did what he should have done, which I don't think many of the others did. Got onto a header, and he played the ball about, did some good stuff. And I think he's really been unlucky a little bit, because he played a lot early on and then he's drifted out of the team. And I'd like to have seen him, I like to see these kids develop, and it may be that's our future. So we need to look at that. Rating, I think I give it a 2 on my review.
I gave it a 1.
It was awful. I thought it was the worst performance of the season. And to be honest, insipid's a good word. I'd sum the season up as turgid. It's just been awful. I think I've come on here and been happy, Chris, twice, and it's just been it's been a chore watching Wolves this year, almost a bit of a torture element to it. So that needs to change for next year, I think, because I think they're starting to lose they're starting to get a disconnection with the fan base a little bit.
Disconnection with the fan base. I'm not 100% sure that.
I don't think it is at the moment, but if we have some of that, I think it's going to come.
Oh well, if that happens, the thing is, I talked about Lopetegui being naive and stuff like that, not being naive, and what he's had to say, but equally, the board, Jeff Hobbs, and all that. They've got to all be on the same page, and I thought they were all on the same page.
I'll tell you, they're not, Dave, because while the camera panned to Lopetegui, you wouldn't have seen this to you at the match. Is it Matt Wild, the guy? Is it his name, Matt Wild? 2-0 down, Lopetegui's looking over their face like thunder, and he's giggling to the bloke next to him, behind him in the stand, and the camera pictured on him. And I thought, well, that just says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, they need to be on the same page. I think Lopetegui is basically, like what you said, I've done an amazing job. He's ambitious. He doesn't want to be in a relegation scrap next year. He doesn't want to basically put himself in a position where he's, his reputation's on the line because the squad's not strong enough. He wants to be able to take Wolves forward and be successful. And being successful next year means improving on this year, getting top half, having a cup run, maybe trying to get into the European places, that type of thing. And he also said he doesn't need to be signing players from Barcelona or Real Madrid. They want players that have got the right character, that want to play for the club. And there aren't a lot of players that have got the right character that do want to play for the club. I look at Totti Gomez. He's got great character, want to play for the club, and how brilliant for him that he's had his first call up for his country as well.
And deserved as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've seen a few of those. You see the likes of Boubacar that you mentioned, Jack. He's someone that wants to play, that's got a point to prove, that's got potential. But they're obviously young players. We are going to need leadership without a shadow of a doubt, next year, I'm not sure whether I would be handing the captain's armband to Kilman. I think the person that should be leading next year, the captain for me, should be Dawson.
Yeah, I think so. You've got to get Mosquera back as well. I mean, he was looking good.
Yeah. Out of the current squad, Dawson is probably the obvious choice. But whether Lopetegui thinks the captain needs to be someone that he brings in, whether he's identified someone that he's worked with previously in the Spanish squads or the Madrid or the Seville squads that he can bring in, that's going to, a little bit like when Kenny Jackett brought Sam Ricketts in, because he's a good player, absolutely, but specifically for that leadership skill when we desperately needed it. I mean, if you go back, and Chris kind of made this point quite well, just that team that took us to Wembley and to the Europa League quarter-final, that team there would absolutely obliterate our current team.
Oh, yeah.
Because they played as a team. They played for the badge. They understood what it meant to play from the badge. A lot of that came from Nuno. It did. But there was a cohesive team. They were well drilled. They were well organised. They had a specific pattern of play. They knew what they were good at. They knew what they weren't good at. I don't see any of that in this current team. And yet on paper, our current team is more expensively assembled with better CVs and pedigrees. And on paper, it looks a really good team. And I just don't see it. I think there's a lot of work needs to be done this summer.
Massive amount. And on that note, gentlemen, we'll close this segment of the show. We know I was having internet problems. Josh was in the back room. Was not in the back room, but was in the green room. But his power's gone. So we're going to have a one-to-one in a second with Sooty until Josh can get on. But yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen, for making some brilliant points. Oh, just before we finish, Jack.
Yes.
Congratulations from the Matchday Experience Group, because I did vote for you, and you have got elected to the fan advisory board. Just want to tell everyone about that.
Yeah, quickly, because I know people are waiting to come on. So Wolves do a really good job with sort of their fan engagement, and they've got lots and lots of groups that go on. We're in the Matchday Experience Group. There's a retail group, a ticketing group. I think there's a disability group, isn't there? There's lots of supporters groups that work as well with the club and do lots of sort of liaising and negotiating, and there's a lot of dialogue that goes on, and I think the club do a fantastic job on that. And what they're putting together a fan advisory board, which is kind of one representative from each group that's going to meet as a whole sort of independent group, if you like, and that's going to be able to feed back to the wider fan base and do different bits and pieces and be able to sort of almost be a soundboard to the club to bounce ideas off, and then we can kind of say, well, we don't think that will quite work with our fan base, or this is what we think the reaction might be, and then we can kind of go from there. So yes, I'm privileged and honoured to be representing the Matchday Experience Group in that fan advisory, but representing the fan base as a whole, and people can find me through this channel if they've got anything that they need to contact the club about, and I'm more than happy to kind of be a voice for fans everywhere. So it's a real privilege and an honour. So absolutely, and well done. You'll be good in the role. That's what I think. I think you'll be good, and of course we'll be able to talk to Jack about stuff that goes on with that, what you're allowed to talk about anyway. Here on Always Wolves Fan TV, guys, make sure that if you're enjoying this, you subscribe, because you can comment in the chat if you are. And I do want to thank everyone that supports the channel and is subscribed. It does mean a great deal. Jack, congratulations on that. Chris, thank you ever so much. The bus driver, much appreciated.
The bus driver was. I was going to ask me who's on the bus.
Who's on the bus?
I'll give you a list of players, but I'll let Sooty tell you who's on my bus. He can be the conductor.
All right, then, love it. Yeah, it's like On the Buzz is next coming up. All right, cheers, mate.
See ya. Always Wolves.
Always Wolves.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So there we have. That was an interesting one. I'm sorry about some of the internet problems that we've been having there. I do apologise for that. But next up, for a one-to-one chat, until we get some other people on it. As I say, if you do want to come on the, I'll put the wrong backdrop up there. Hold on a second. Let's just put a little bit of Neves up in the background. Why not? To our captain. If you do want to come on the show, all you've got to do is get on this link, and you can be joining us. So good. A very good evening A very good evening to you.
How are you, David?
I'm all right, my friend. I'm all right. We've gone full
Good
screen.
evening, people. I'm just going to just quickly do this, Dave. See what that is, Dave. It's a can of Coke and a nice little whiskey there, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much a non-drinker, Dave, but I'm going to drink to the end of this season. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. I've got an empty cup at the moment, so
and these as well, Dave. Dave, these sunglasses have actually got yellow coloured frames. You can't see it; they look dark, but they actually look yellow when you look through them. So I'm going to take these sort of gold tinted glasses off now.
Yeah,
like that, Dave. We'll take them off. We'll put them in the cupboard because they're definitely not needed.
Mate, it is after 9 o'clock, so it is sooty time. What do you want to say?
What a complete and utter shit show this season has been, Dave. Unbelievably bad. This guy's come in. He's done the job. He must be backed. Forget financial fair play. Every other team works their way around it, Dave. Everyone. Nobody else mentions financial fair play.
Well, what about Everton?
Well, they got round it for 3.5 years, Dave.
Yeah.
Right? They got round it for 3.5 years. Now, that is a complete shambles of a club. We aren't a shambles of a club, believe it or not. But we have got to find a way around it. If the people that put the money in back in January, we believe that were Saudi Arabian or Qataris or whatever, we need to go knocking on doors. But the problem I think we've got, Dave, is they don't want to relinquish too many stakes in the club. When you have a Premier League football club, Dave, you've got to spend money or you're going to get relegated. Now, I know they've spent £207 million over 2 windows. But let's be honest, Dave, the summer window was abysmal. It was poor, really poor. Now, not one of them summer signings. Who did we sign? Gedesh. Who else was there in the summer? Kalajdzic. Nunes.
He was a panic buy.
Yeah, Nunes. The list goes on.
He was a panic buy, wasn't he? Oh, yeah, he's back.
Yeah, it was. None of them have come off. So poor. Really, really poor.
Is Sooty frozen? Are you there, Sooty?
You still there, mate?
Yeah. We've got another person that's decided to join us. Craig.
Hello, Sooty. How are you, bud?
All right, Craig. How you doing?
Yeah, mate. Fuming. Absolutely fuming. You might know.
Carry on, Sooty.
The thing is with this, right? Can you hear me now, Dave?
Yeah.
Right. The thing is with this, like I said to you, they've got to find a way around finances. This guy, he will not have. They all know about financial fair play, Dave, but he would not have come here if a summer transfer kitty wasn't discussed. There's no way that caliber of manager comes here without the promise of money. And for me, we've got another Nuno situation on our hands here where you promise money and you're not getting it.
Is he froze, Sooty?
Are you still there, Craig?
I'm here, but Dave looks frozen.
Yeah, it's Dave, I think. No, well, it's poor, isn't it, Craig, to be honest? Let's be honest.
Oh, man. I like sat there yesterday and I was embarrassed. And as a Wolves fan, you should never feel that the team are just not bothered and that they're going to fall apart. And they've fallen apart far too many times. And no shots again. What the hell is going on from a Monday to Friday?
You know, this year, Craig, can you hear us now, Dave?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's where I'm sat.
Yeah.
I
do you
don't
know
know whether I've moved it around tonight, but yeah, I'll sit
this year?
in the conservatory.
Yeah, this year has been a record goal scoring year in the Premier League. 1,084 goals have been scored. Wolves have scored 31.
Is that in the Premier League or in the Football League?
In the Premier League?
The whole of the Premier League?
Apparently so. That's what I've got on my information.
You might be right.
So, and we scored
No,
31 goals.
What, Bab? Yeah.
31 goals, yeah. I mean, that's the lowest we've ever scored in the Premier League. We needed to
Everton
score
scored
yesterday.
more than us. Everton. They had a centre forward for I don't know how long.
Leeds have scored more than us. In fact,
No.
everyone scored more than us because we're the lowest scorers in the league.
I get what people are saying, and that we league tables, Dave, as you say, don't lie, mate. They do not lie. We're not the worst team in the league, but what we are is the worst watch in the league. There's nothing there. It's abysmal. It's to watch. You know yourself, Dave. It costs a lot of money going home and away all season. And a lot of these people on here will do it like we do. It costs a fortune. How many times have you come away from an away game? Let's just use the away games now because that's been so poor. Thinking, my God, this is shocking. When you're not seeing one shot on goal all season, and they've really got to prepare early, Dave, have their targets. To be honest now, I don't care if Neves goes, he's going. I don't care if Nunes goes. I'm not bothered. I don't care who goes because it can't get any worse. I don't care.
I think it can.
Well, it can't, Dave, because if it stays the same, we'll go down.
Yeah,
so they've got to prepare. And I'll tell you now, Dave,
which would be worse, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, there's an old saying, Dave, and if you fail to prepare, you should prepare to fail. And it'll come true. I'm telling you, it'll come true.
On that point, which is a really good point, Southampton, they just thought each year they can sell the best players and not.
Yeah, but do you know why, Dave? You've hit it on the head. You've hit it on the head with Southampton and Leicester. And do you know what their owners have tried to do, Dave?
Yeah.
They've tried to be a self-sufficient club. Those are the two clubs. Look what's happened, Dave. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, mate. Being self-sufficient does not work. You've got to have owners that are prepared to find money if they haven't got it. They've got to find money, and they've got to find a lot of money because this lot just ain't good enough. I could name you 10 that would not get in any side in an old gold shirt that I picked. They're not good enough, and you're going to go down.
Okay, give me the 10.
Well, I wouldn't play Sarr because if the rumours are true that Villa want to pay 17 million for him, I'd snatch their hands off. Right? Why
would they want Sarr over Martinez?
They reckon Martinez is going Champions League club.
Right. Okay. So
I wouldn't play Sarr.
Would you sell Sarr and have Bentley in goal?
I'd want a new keeper.
Okay, right. So you keep Bentley though.
I'd still keep Bentley, yeah, but I'd want a new keeper.
So you Sarr's 17 million. Can someone in the chat top how much money we're making out of this? 17 million. Go on, Sarr.
Collins.
You get rid of Collins.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not good enough, Dave. He turns slower than the Titanic, and we know what happened to the Titanic.
And how much do you think we get for Collins now?
We'll get 10 million max for him because he was never worth 20. Never. He only played 17
I don't
games
think he's
for
worth any more than 10 at the moment. But Collins is a very young defender, and I don't think he's a bad player. I just think central defenders don't really mature until they get to 26, 27, and he's still very young.
Dave, as long as I've got an hole for a backside, Dave, he ain't going to be a Premier League centre-half. Take it from me. He's not good enough. He is a bag of nerves, an absolute bag of nerves. Get rid. He doesn't have to be our problem. Get rid of Aït-Nouri. He's a pain.
Hold on, just hold that for a second. Yeah, Ait Nuri. How much are you getting for Ait Nuri?
Well, you've got to get 15, 20 for him because you owe Angiers 50% of it.
Yeah, someone tot all this up. Ait Nuri, so he's going.
Neves can go.
Well, we think Neves will go. How much are we getting for Neves?
35.
40.
Okay.
But we'll say 35. We'll go on 5 million. We're getting 5 million for Gibbs White because Forest stayed up.
So Martinho's going.
That's 5.
Traore's going.
Is he?
Yeah.
Now, would you get rid of Traore, or are you just saying he's going?
I'm just saying he's going, Dave. He'd have signed by now. He'll go to Napoli or somewhere like that, Dave.
Or are you just saying he's going? Check it out.
So, I think Raul's going.
Hey, look, everyone, we've got a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Blooming hell. Amy's doing it back for the final show of the year. Just hold on there, Amy. Come to you. So he's dismantling the squad currently.
Yeah, I just heard that.
Jimenez will go.
Yeah. How much are we getting for Jimenez?
You might get 5 for him. He's only got a year left.
5.
And I would boot Pedence straight out the door with my right boot because I think he's a little shit, Dave. So I think he's trouble. I do, and I get shut of him as well.
How much are we getting for Pedence?
You're going to get 15.
I think 15.
20.
Yeah.
How many is that, Dave?
Can someone tell me how much that is in the that Sutty's currently made us in the chat? This guy said we're up to 64.5 million at the moment.
64.5 million. And
hold on. Plus 5 for Jimenez, 15 for Pedence. So that's 70. So that's 80. Oh, someone says you've made us 102 million.
102 million, fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So we've got 102 million, but you've got to go and get, how many is that? That's 8 players, isn't it, Dave?
Is it? We've got Fabio Silva coming back, Sasha Kalajic coming back, Ryan Giles. Would you have him in your squad? Would you? Chiquino's coming back. Boubacar Traore was mentioned earlier.
So there you go. You could give him 102 million quid without even have the dib in your own pocket.
Yeah.
Happy
So
days.
102 million.
Get rid of them, Dave. They've done nothing. They're shite.
Amy.
Hello. UK.
It's been quite a feisty one. Are you on your way back from training?
We've just ran up the Wrekin. If anyone is in Telford Way knows the Wrekin. So we're in the car on the way back. So yeah, kind of. Not like a planned training, but we just decided to go and do it today. So we just did that. So we're in the car on the way back. But I'm obviously not driving. Roy's driving. So I am free to talk. Otherwise, that would be not great.
Well, we haven't had you on for a while. Obviously, those of you regular watchers on the channel, when we first started Extra Time, Amy was my co-host. We used to have a person at a time. It's evolved, obviously, that we have group chats now and stuff like that. So I spoke to Amy a couple of weeks ago. I said, how do you fancy coming on? When on you for age? She says, I'll come on the Monday, the last show of the season. What do you make of Wolves' season? I'm sure people would be really interested to hear your thoughts. And I think you were there yesterday.
Yes, I was there yesterday. It was a complete nothing game yesterday. It was exactly how I thought yesterday would be. Didn't expect anything else. Thought we'd get absolutely thrashed by Arsenal. J-Lo, I think, was doing a bit of I don't know what you said, obviously, earlier on this chat, but when we saw the team sheet, we thought he was making a little bit of a point about what the team could look like if he doesn't get any backing. So that was our thoughts on the team. And then the season has been, well, I don't know, it's hard. Like, there's been it's been hard to watch. The lack of goals has obviously been quite challenging to watch. But it obviously since after the World Cup break, it's been, especially at home, it's been quite enjoyable. But it's just been a bit of a tough season overall, I think.
Absolutely. And do you know what? When you finished that, it was just like a light bulb turned on. The light came on. Oh no, he's back in darkness now.
Oh.
Craig, which are you going for? You going for the angelic with the la look, or are you just going for the ghostman look?
Angelic, me, Dave. Are you joking? I've got this confusion in my head, and I've had it the whole of this season, Dave. How the positive Wolves fans that keep on knocking lots of me and you know such there when we talk the truth, we can't score a goal. Our midfield are the most negative people that you can ever want in any team. They can't find any passes at all. Yes, they work hard and they've got passion and they care. There's absolutely no doubt there that they create nothing. So what are we lauding with Ruben? What are we lauding with Martinho? What are we actually saying that these guys are so good at? That we are the worst scorers in this league. We are as blunt as a man's a eunuch's wedding tackle, right? And we are known for going behind and losing games because we create nothing. We don't shoot. We don't get the ball in the box. So what are we lauding? What are we saying? We've got great players when they create nothing.
Well,
that's the question.
Obviously, the problem, the biggest problem. I mean, I was on the earlier on in the week. Obviously, it's not come out yet. The bit that I was in, it was Wolves of mid-table obscurity. But I went up to the Media City on Monday. I did the William Hill season finale, and they were asking about Wolves and the season, and they said, "What do you want next year?" And I went, "Goals. What do you need to bring in? A striker that can put balls in the back of the net and score goals. Because if we're only scoring 30 goals again next season, we're going down. We need someone that's going to score a striker that's going to score 15 goals. You know, and we need other players that are going to be chipping in with 5s and 10s. We need to score goals. Obviously, we need to. I mean, the defence has looked away from home like they've never played. I mean, you know, in some ways, like he put Kilman and Collins out there at the weekend, and you saw what happened. Bueno hadn't played for ages, and he was up against Saka, who was basically back to his world-class best. What a player he is! It literally destroyed him. And you know, Semedo in the midfield. He passed them by. I mean, I felt for Raul, his last game. What service did he have, Sutty? Really?
None. That's the thing, Dave. It's all right buying centre forwards, but you could have Haaland playing up front for us, Dave. He wouldn't get 10 goals because there's no creativity.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Our midfield, Dave, are the issue. They're not protecting the back four anymore, and they're not creating goals. Our midfield are overloaded. They are overrated. And we can't stand Ruben. 2 games Ruben didn't play, and we looked a different side, a completely different side for 2 games, and we won them both.
He didn't play for the first half yesterday,
and we looked awful.
Amy, what have you got to? What are your thoughts on the players that are going? I like Raul and Neves, Adama, Martinho, who obviously hasn't turned up for the last 2 games. What are your thoughts on the outgoing players?
I think you can everyone, entitled to your own opinion about Ruben, etc. However, I think if the problem for me is the fact they've got nothing up front, and we haven't had anything up front for 2 seasons now. So if you go back to seasons when we finished 7th, the first 2 seasons of the Premier League, you obviously had Raul, who was at his absolute best. You had Jota, you had Doherty, who scored a few goals. You had the forward line, whereas we haven't had that. So no one spoke about the midfield hasn't changed with Neves, Martino since then, but the front has. So the problem is the fact that there's no service beyond the midfield. So I don't think we can sit here and say the midfield's rubbish, because it's not. Like, if you put Neves into, I don't know, Liverpool, for example, he would get so many assists. He would probably get more goals than at Wolves because he'd have that frontline service, but he hasn't this. So I think you can't say that Neves is, overrated or lauded or something, because he's not. He's the best player that has ever played for Wolves, and I can't sit here and say anything else, in my opinion. So
and create nothing, Amy, and create nothing for him.
He's not the greatest player that's
he
ever
creates
played
nothing.
Wolves.
Well,
very good,
I personally think he is. I personally think it is. I think Dave probably agrees with me as well. So that's my.
I'm a massive fan of Neves. I think we've got 6 years. He's an absolutely brilliant player, person, captain. I think he's playing in a team that's not functioning off. He deserves to be playing at a higher level. Martino is another one.
Yeah.
That we have. He's past his sell by date.
I think he's obviously like Lopetegui, what he kind of his ideas. Lamina, since he's come in, I think, has been fantastic. I think he's really helped us get into the position where we are. I think Raul, I felt very sorry for. I was a bit annoyed at Lopetegui in the Everton game that he didn't bring Raul on. I thought that was quite disrespectful to come on and have the applause of the Molineux crowd before he went, and no one made an impact yesterday. They were on the beach, so to speak, and I think it must have been quite triggering for Raul to play his last game at the stadium where effectively his career ended. So the fact that he played the full 90 minutes, I thought, that's good for him mentally to have been able to do that before he leaves probably the Premier League. So, you can't dispute Raul's commitment or anything to the club. He's just not been the same player since the injury, which is a shame for us all, and particularly him. But I think overall they're due a good clear out, and hopefully they'll be able to get the funds to support what Lopetegui wants to do, and maybe find some money from elsewhere as well. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting summer for sure.
Absolutely.
Dave, Dave, when was the last time you saw Ruben boss again? He's a defensive midfield player. When was the last time you saw Neves boss a game?
Well, I don't think we've really seen Neves boss a game this season, because the way that that Lopetegui's been playing him since he's come in is in a more defensive role, and that's worked at home big time. And obviously, I agree with what you said. The 2 games that he was suspended, he played really well. We saw. I'm not sure whether Neves and Nunes can play in the same team, although Nunes was substituted at half-time at the weekend, and Lopetegui's also come out and said we'll see the best of Nunes. I don't think Wolves will sell Nunes because he's got 4 years left on his contract. They paid 45 million, and it'd take someone to come in with about 60-65 million for him to sell him. So I think he'll be here for next year. I think Lamina's good. I think Joe Gomez. I think Boubacar Traoré can join. We've got the basis of a decent midfield, I think. What Lopetegui's jobs is, obviously, and Neves will probably go, he's got to find a way of us playing football, attractive football, so that we're getting players into the box and we're scoring goals. Now, Sutty, do you think, with the basis of the midfield that we've got, I mean, you know, obviously, I don't think we've seen Neves being anywhere near as effective as we saw under Nuno, and you know, I think if you put him into another team with a little bit more around him, and he's got the space to ping the balls, I think he will get more goals and assists personally. But like Neves is out the equation. Gomez, Lamina, Boubacar, Nunes, Joe Hodge. Is that midfield good enough next year for us to finish higher? And how do you get the best out of that midfield? What needs to happen with the forward line? Because I think the defensive wing back area, full back area, especially on the right side, needs to be improved as well.
You might disagree with me here, Dave, and I was a big advocate for changing the style of play because we weren't. You're going to say back three, aren't you? But when we were at our most effective, we had two wing backs, didn't we? Yeah. We had obviously Doherty on the one side, Johnny on the other. They'd bomb forward. We had a back three. Now, I might get pelters. We've never, ever really taken to this back four. It's just not worked. Now, this bloke isn't going to change it now. This is what he likes to play. But it's the same old thing, Dave. He's got to have the tools that he wants, not what Fosun wants. It's like I'm a carpenter and joiner, Dave. It's like you giving me a bricklayer's trowel when I've asked you to go and get me a 22-ounce hammer. I'm going to throw it back at you and go, how many nails I want to knock in with that?
Well, you're not, are you? And I think this comes back to having a cohesive strategy. And I do think this comes back to, which is why Wolves fans were all now like, I'm not panicking. I'm concerned. I've not gone from concerned to worried or to panic yet. I think some people are already at panic mode. I am concerned that if we don't have our proverbial ducks all lined up in a row, and you've not got the chairman, the head of recruitment, and Lopetegui all singing off the same hymn street, going for the and getting the players that we want, then we end up back in a situation where we were when Nuno was speaking to Jeff Shee, saying we need to invest. I need to kick this team on. Had we have invested then, God, where would we be now?
Yeah,
but they didn't.
My big concern with this, Dave, is this is happening a lot. This is because Nuno obviously wasn't backed towards the end of his tenure, right? Now
they were letting him go because they were bumping heads a lot.
Now don't forget, Dave, we were also, when Bruno Lage come in, Christmas time, we were challenging for Champions League football.
We were,
and into January, and if you remember, January the 1st come. And he said, Bruno Lage, I'm no Bruno Lage fan, by the way, but no one was moaning at this point, Dave. He said, I need centre forwards. He said this for a week, Dave. And then all of a sudden, he backtracked. And he'd been obviously pulled and said, shut up. You cannot go public saying things like this. Shut up. It all went tits up, Dave. All of it. Now, some of it was down to him. Quite rightly, it was down to him. He upset players. He upset squad. In February, I've said this time and time again to you. He pulled out Keanu Hoover and it all went to pot.
Lost the dressing room.
That's fact. Lost the dressing room, went to pot, right? So he's as much to blame. But they didn't give him any tools whatsoever first year, Dave. Now, I'm not buying into that they've gone in the summer and bought Nunes, Kalajdzic, all these players, Guedes. I'm not having it that those were the players that he wanted. I do not believe it. That's Scott Sellers and Jeff Shee signings.
Well, just on that, just an interesting thing, because I went to the NS thing on Monday, and there was an interesting thing that came out of that, which Liam Keane said. Morgan Gibbs-White obviously was sold to Forest, been their player of the season. Bruno Lage wanted to keep Morgan Gibbs-White. He was adamant he was keeping him. And then Mendes, apparently from what's been said, came in and said, Guedes, he's going to be your man. He's got this, that and the other. And then Bruno Lage looked at him and then says, yeah, we'll bring Guedes in for 27 million. And then they let Morgan go. Up until that point, he was not going anywhere. They were not letting him go. But Bruno Lage changed his mind and went, we Guedes. What a flipping disaster that's been. You know,
Dave,
27 million wasted.
Dave, as a person, I despise that young lad with a passion. I cannot even look at the TV when he's on it. But it pains me to say, Dave, that he's exactly the kind of player. I'm not saying he is the player. He is exactly the kind of player that we're missing. So I'll ask you this question, was Bruno Lage so stupid? I don't think he was, Dave.
Yeah.
I don't think he was.
Because you saw him in pre-season with Morgan with his arm around him and all this, and he looked, and then all of a sudden he went, and that was because of Guedes coming in. They wasted £27 million on Guedes and then loaned him out in January. I mean, honestly, that's just terrible. Which you can understand why Scott Sellers and the changes were made at that point. You know, they got the new guy and things have been a bit more cohesive since, but.
Think about it as well, Dave. When they spend money through Mendes, obviously, Fosun Group own half of Gestafe Agency, 50% of it. So
I think they own 15%.
Is it fit? Well, no matter what percent they own, Dave,
they own 8%.
They're getting some money back.
Yeah.
It's all money going round in circles, Dave. So when they go away from that and they have to pay proper money, they don't like that, Dave. They don't like it. Hence why we very rarely go, you know, when we signed Gomez from Brazil, Uncle George tried to scupper that deal and tried to get him to sign for Leon.
Yeah, I know, and they have pulled a little bit, but I mean, we have got to say, we have had some, you know, favours from Uncle George, Neves, Matinho, all these sort of things.
It's not all been bad.
But I think they have started to move a little bit more away from putting all their eggs in one basket as what you've seen. I think they have started to do that. You know, he can still pull a rabbit out the hat for us, but then it's a merry-go-round in it. It's like you kind of like, I'll do one for you now, but you owe me down the line. It's like, you know what I mean? I'll call him that favour at some point type of thing. That seems how it seems to be. Craig, your thoughts on all of that?
Well, I said about 4 weeks back, Dave, that Morgan Gibbs-White looked absolutely brilliant, box to box. I've seen Ruben do that once. Amy was absolutely right, by the way. When Ruben goes to a sort of top 4 side or a top side, he's going to look absolutely world class. But he's just not doing it for us. He's defensive. He's too careful. We haven't got a creative player. I can understand what Amy's saying about a striker. That is not our problem. That is not our problem. We just do not create chances. That's the problem. And so having the absolute best striker in the world will not make that much difference to Wolves. The whole of the team just look scared to make any errors. They look scared to play a ball that might not work out. When we went to up to Man U, Dave, the number of chances we had to cross the ball into the box and we passed it back and we lost it. We could have got 15 balls into that box. It could have been deflected as own goals or whatever, but we just passed it back. And we seem to have that mentality with this current squad that they are frightened to death to make any sort of errors. There's nothing creative at all in them. Pedence is probably the only player that tries something new, but it's ridiculous when he tries all his flicks and his tricks and his magician hat rabbit stuff, and it's annoying when you see him. He's under the hammer, and you're only getting 30% of the ball. You can't give the ball away that cheaply. We've got to get some bread and butter players in our squad, Dave. If you want me to be honest, people that are when the opposition play us, they know that they're going to walk off the pitch with a few bruises, knowing that they've got him.
Your sound's just gone, Craig. Craig, your sound's gone. Can anyone hear Craig?
No.
Craig, your sound's gone, Craig.
They're not even have to break sweat. They're not have to break sweat.
Craig, that was really great, but we didn't hear a word of it because your sound went. It was a bit like the bit in Forrest Gump. Everyone had seen the film Forrest Gump when he's like, he goes up, he says, "You were a war veteran." He goes up onto the stage and then he goes to his mic and he starts talking and someone pulls the mic. And at the end he goes, "And that's all I have to say about that." And they go, "Yeah." It was exactly like that.
Where did I get to?
I don't know, but you were literally animated and.
Oh yeah, well, I was saying. Oh gosh, my phone's just absolutely doing one.
That'll be Bruno. That'll be Bruno Lodge thanking you for.
No, it's.
Is it Julian?
Oh, yeah, it is saying "shut up, you big mouth git," in Spanish. No, you know. We don't get a ball in the box. We won't take chances, and we just look benign. And I can't understand why. It's not my Black Country team. Black Country folk go for it, you know, and they take whether they're going to get a beating or not. They'll stand there and they'll take some. Am I right, Sutty? You think I'm going to get a beating here?
You'd like to think so.
I'm going to give you something back. There's just none of that, and we need some grafters in our side. We've got too many fancy dare I say, you're not allowed to say it nowadays. Foreign good time, Charlie Sunshine Day players. We need some players that can really dig in there and cause the opposition a bit of pain.
Well, guys, I mean, obviously, real interesting points there. Personally, you know, I don't mind where they come from or whatever, as long as they play for the shirt and stuff like that, and you know, the badge and stuff like that. You know, and I've seen a lot of the Portuguese lot that have got stuck in and done something. You know, it doesn't really matter. But we need, what you need is character. You need people that are going to play for the badge on the front, not just the name on the back, as they say, you know, and all of that. Now we're going to. I'm going to conclude.
Dave,
go on.
Dave, can I ask you one question? And you, Sutty. What does J-Lo see in our right back, Tomato? Now I'm talking pure football terms here. He's a right back, so his first job is to defend, right? What does he see in him? Because all I've seen this season is teams target our right side.
Well, Arsenal yesterday, they took it. Nothing came down the right side. It was all down the other side. And there was no goal yesterday that came down Semedo's side.
Yeah, was not Semedo at fault for the first goal? Shouldn't he have covered?
I agree. He didn't track his man, but the cross came in from the other side. I mean, you're right. He does tend to switch off sometimes and lose his man when the ball's coming into the box from the opposite side. I've seen that happen a couple of times. I mean, I like Semedo personally. I think he's improved a lot. I think his defensive work's improved a lot. What we haven't seen enough of is in going forward, but then we're playing in the back four, like what Sutty referred to before. When we were playing the back three, you had the freedom of the one would go, the other one would drop in, and then vice versa. They could go, and we haven't seen that.
I wouldn't be surprised to see
Amy back, by the way. She's back out the car. She's at home.
Yeah, I'm back home now. I was going round like the country lane, so the signal went. So
Amy, Craig's got a question for you. I've given my thoughts. I'm going to hear Sutty's thoughts in a minute, and then we're going to think. Do you like Semedo? Do you think he's a weak link or not?
I think he's improved a lot this year. I think he's a different player under Lopetegui than he was previously. I think he's still a bit inconsistent, but I think in terms of his manoeuvres, and I think he just seems to work the field a bit better than he did in previous seasons.
Good point. Absolutely. Sutty, your thoughts?
Wouldn't surprise me if now they've got him on a 2-year contract. They sold him, Dave.
Well, they have extended his contract because otherwise he would have gone for free, like what you say. But
like they did with Afobe. When they signed Afobe, they sold him 2 weeks later. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, but on that point, on the left-hand side, Amy, Craig, Sutty, we've got Hugo Bueno, who's had a breakthrough season. Yeah, he got tore apart yesterday, but he's got a lot of promise. We've got Aitnori, we've got Totti Gomez, and we've got Ryan Giles. So we've got 4 on that one side. So I think Aitnori could definitely go. I don't think Bueno will go. I don't think Totti Gomez will go because I think he's just, to me, he's been one of the players, one of the best 4 this season. I'd put Dawson, Lamina, Neves, and Totti Gomez would be my 4 best players this season. But on the other side, we've got Johnny Otto and Semedo. Johnny Otto's, I think, done. So I can't see him selling Semedo in this window because that would mean we'd have to get 2 on the right hand side, whereas they've only got to get 1. And they've already. So I think one of the things they'll be looking at is having someone else that's going to come in and be competition for Semedo on that one side, and then obviously they're going to be looking at the forward areas. I mean, would Sutty, Craig, Amy, would you like to see Fabio, Ryan Giles, and Chiquino? Which one of them 3? Any of them 3? All 3? 2 of the 3? Which ones? Craig, Ryan Giles, Fabio Silva, Chiquino is coming back from injury. He looked great. I might add before his injury. He was crossing the ball.
Yeah, he's a young kid, but his movement's amazing for a kid so young, and we've missed that this year. We've had no one that finds that yard of space. The trouble is, again, you go back to, and we've got the midfield capable of finding somebody in that space. So I'd have him back in a heartbeat. And Amy, I agree with you. If Ruben goes to a top 4 side, he will look absolutely class. I'm talking about the job that he does for us, which is nothing going forward. So you're right. He's a class player, but he's just not doing it for us. I just thought I'd sort of stick that in, Dave, because I got the daggers in from Amy.
Fantastic. Amy, same question to you, and then we'll go to Sutty. Fabio Silva, Ryan Giles, Chiquino.
It's got to be. I mean, I was always quite interested to see what Fabio could do at Wolves. There was a lot of people that were on his back with the price tag, etc. But I was like, well, he didn't set the price tag, so you can't be too hard on the kid. So now he's had a season away. I really hope he comes back. I don't think we can put all our eggs in the basket with Fabio, but I am excited to see how he's developed and what he could bring to the team. So I do hope he comes back. I think he's meant to be coming back.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. He'll be back for pre-season, and then it's up to what Lopetegui decides.
Yeah, but he's obviously it was Nuno, wasn't it? Or whatever agreement it was with what's his face? Who's the agent? I've lost my head. Who's the agent? Mendes. That's Mendes. I don't know. I forgot that for a second. But so I'd be quite intrigued to see what he looks like now. Well, no, you know what I mean in terms of his playing. Whether he's bulked up because he was quite scrawny.
What about Ryan Giles?
Yeah, again, I can't remember seeing him. Did we see him much? I've forgotten. I'm a brain.
He's got the most assists for the second year running in the Championship. Swansea and now Middlesbrough. I think he was. I don't know whether he's their player of the season as well at Middlesbrough, I think. But his output for Swansea and then Middlesbrough just missed out, obviously, on promotion. A bit like Morgan Gibbs-White last year with Sheffield United, their player of the season. And then, obviously, again, a young player. Are we going to miss out on giving a young chap a chance who's obviously got a talent?
Well, let's just hope his attitude is a bit better than Morgan Gibbs-White, because we don't want to talk about that man on the here, do we?
We have covered him off a little bit whilst you're away. Sutty, Chiquinho, Fabio, Ryan Giles, what's your take?
Well, quickly, Dave, the last great centre forward we had is Raul Jimenez. And pre-injury, Raul Jimenez thrived on balls into a box. He was ruthless in the air. Anything in that box in the air.
He was a complete centre forward. He could finish. He could run with the ball. Dave, he could bring other players in, hold the ball up, head it away.
He was fabulous, Dave. And we had players that used to pump balls into boxes. He'd get on the end of them, chest them down, he'd head them, everything. Now, I don't know what this Kalajdzic is like. He's got a horrific injury record. But
he did do a lap of honour for his 30 minutes on the
pitch.
That really made me laugh, that did.
No one's going to buy him, Dave. No one's going to buy him. Right?
No, of course not.
If he's fit and firing on all cylinders after his year off, and he's 6'7", and you've got somebody like Fabio playing off him, nodding balls down, stuff like that, because Fabio's movement is excellent.
I think he's instinctive. He's a natural striker.
So if you get Chiquinho, it's in the byline, which he does, and crosses a ball. We don't get anybody doing that, Dave, like an out-and-out.
You know what? The way Chiquinho crosses a ball, he's got like a Beckham-esque cross.
Yeah, well, what we've got, Dave, we've got these ridiculous, bloody inverted wingers that I absolutely hate, who think they're all Maradona on a ball and can take on everybody in a team to then come back and pass it back to the fullback. Drives me nuts. Hit the byline, cross the ball. You will feed any centre forward. Now we'll have Cunha, Kalajdzic, Silva. We might get another in. I don't know. Depends what the pennies are like, Dave. Depends what they can find. But if that's our front three, we've got to work with it. And the only way you'll work with that, Dave, is to put balls in the penalty area. So it's all about style of play as well. But I'll bring Ryan Giles back, because you ain't a bad player if you've got the most assists 2 seasons on the trot in the Championship. And if he wasn't our player already, we'd be looking at him.
100%.
So you've got to bring him back and give him a chance. Play him in pre-season. If he's not his cup of tea, then you sell him on, don't you? Sell him, you'll get 15 million for him at the moment because his stock's high. So you get rid of him, because I tell you now, Burnley or Sheffield United would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Right, just to finish off on, I'm going to bring Chris and Jack back on for this segment. I'm just going to put a nice little backdrop there. Hold on. Let me find a backdrop. I need to find a backdrop. There you go. There's a nice backdrop. So we're all going to be. There we go.
Hey, Chris, Jack, how you doing?
We've got 6.
Hi, guys.
No, Craig.
Right. So last
How are we,
bit.
Jack? Hey, mate.
Hello.
Last bit. Before we get on to Jack and Chris, Sutty, we're going to talk about the game yesterday, just for a second. Very punchy. Performance rating, man of the match, moment of the day.
Performance rating, 0.
Okay.
Man of the match, young Joe Hodge. Why
Joe Hodge?
He's hungry, Dave. He tried.
Yeah.
He puts a shift in, no matter if it's 5 minutes or 25 minutes or 55 minutes. Get stuck in. He's a little shit out, Dave. That's what you need. You need somebody who's going to put bruises on people. When you're in the heat of battle, it's no good fanning around. You've got to get stuck in, mate.
This is what Craig was referring to earlier.
If you're 5-0 down, Dave, if you're 5-0 down, I still want to see you crunching into people.
Absolutely.
Quite simple. I don't want everybody giving up. I want to see a bit of bruising and that going on. So I'll give it him. And then the highlight of my day, Dave, because I never went. I'm glad I never went. I was at the top of Marco Pierre White's restaurant in Birmingham, sat on a nice sunny balcony, drinking bottles of wine. Happy days.
Yeah, I like it up there. I've not been for a while, Sooty, so let me know when you go next.
We'll meet up, mate.
That'd be good, that will. We should do that in the summer. Craig, same to you.
It's a note from me, Dave.
It's a note from Craig.
North, yeah. Adama, I think he's tried his guts there, as he always does, in my opinion. But and the highlight of the day was when the ref blew the final whistle, and we could put this season to bed because it's been a nightmare from start to finish.
Absolutely, and don't forget, if you want to join in the chat, all you have to do is make sure you subscribe, and you can join in the conversation. Amy, obviously you were there yesterday. I know. But performance rating, man of the match, and your moment of the day. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be. It could be like you had a bag of chips after the game or something like that. You know?
I'm going to give it a 2. They turned up, so they get 2 for that. And my man of the match, we always do man of the match at the end of the game, so I gave it to Raul just because it was his last game and he was back where everything happened, so that's why I gave it to him. And then my moment of the day was actually when we were going into the ground. Well, they didn't check the tickets because everyone had this farce of everyone's handwritten name on the
check the tickets at all.
And they didn't check the tickets. And then there was the sniffer dogs, as there always is in away-ins now. And there was a chap who was probably in his 60s. He wasn't my dad, but he was probably about my dad's age. And this sniffer dog went for him, and he pulled out a sandwich and the sniffer that he'd forgotten was in his pocket. So it was quite funny because they were going after this old bloke that definitely didn't have any drugs on him. And he had a sandwich in his pocket that he'd forgotten about. So that was quite funny.
That's absolutely, yeah. That's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So it was nice. I had a lovely day out. It was just ruined.
That's the part. I mean, there is the bit in the middle where we actually played the game, but aside from that, the rest of it was good. I mean, the Wolves fans did give a bit of a little bit of Gallagher Junior is like you 8 points up and you.
Yeah, it was quite funny. It was all quite funny.
And there was at one point there was a blow up. There was a blow up Premier League bouncing around. Blow up Premier League Cup that was bouncing around the stand as well, and they kind of quietened down when we went 3-0 down. But there you go. Right. Last extra time of the season, we will be doing other live shows throughout the summer. So we'll be inviting all people on to talk about issues surrounding the summer and stuff like that. So we will be doing more. So although extra time might be finished for the games, there's still going to be stuff that's going to be going on. So make sure that you got your bell notifications on. So to finish up on, I want you to give the season a rating out of 10. Okay. A rating out of 10. I want you to give your personal player of the season, and I want you to give the light and the dark, because out of darkness just comes like your highlight or moment of the year of the season and the worst moment of the season to finish off. I just want to remind everyone that Wolves have been in the Premier League now for 6 years. And even though this year has been, not great, to put it mildly, the lowest we've still ever finished is 13th. And we've had a crap season. We finished 13th. Just imagine what we could do if they get their act together. 13th, amazing. An extra £2 million. That's per place as well. So we've got to factor that in. Right, who wants to go first on that one? I think it should be Jack or Chris, the bus driver. Go on then, Chris.
Okay. So
your season performance rating, first of all.
2.
You're going to give it a 2.
Yeah, because it's been
for
crap.
the whole season.
For the whole season, because they just underachieved massively underachieved. And I know we've got 13th, and it's very good. And Lopetegui's come and saved us. Live to find another day, but it's been I think it's been one of the worst seasons I've ever had following Wolves. I've had better relegation seasons because I've seen the team that'll go and fight and try and stay up.
Well, we did. Come on, Chris. We did fight and try and stay up because we did stay up.
Yeah, but even the likes, when we went down with Dave Jones, when we bought Henri Camara and he was rubbish for half a season, then he was brilliant and we were all behind him and the Senegal flags were everywhere and the atmosphere was so much better than it's been. It's been, I used the word before, turgid. So I'm giving it 2. I'm giving it a 2.
Absolutely.
They've got to do much better.
That's a 2. We'll do the performance rating first with everyone. So we'll go to Jack and then we'll go around all the other things. So, Jack, your performance rating for the whole season and why?
Let's have a look. 3.5. I think you probably give us a 7 at home and a 1 away. So what's that? 3.5, 4 maybe, something like that. So
a 4.
Yeah, I can't give it much more than that. Yeah, 3 or 4. Not been good.
A 4. Sutty, performance rating for the season and why?
Well, 10 out of 10, you win the league, don't you?
10 out of 10 what?
4 for me, Dave.
It's a
10
4
out of
as
10,
well.
You've won the league.
Oh, yeah. So a 4. A 4. Okay, Amy?
I'm going to go 5. I think there has been, especially the home performance, the last half of the season has been very, very good in general. But the start was just a shambles before the World Cup. So that was just horrific. But I think since Christmas, it's not been great, but it's not been awful. So I'll give it a 5.
A 5. Craig?
4.
A 4. It's a 4. I'm going to go with a 5 as well. Based on the second half of the season, although it wasn't great, we've had some thingy. We still finished 13th. That the home form was good, the away form was not so good. So I'm probably going to go with a 5. I think it was bad, but I don't think it was. If it was really bad, I mean, we'd be like, it wasn't far off a 4 or a 4.5. But in the end, I'm going to go with a 5 as well. I think. For myself. Right. Chris, the bus driver, as he is tonight, your personal player of the season and why?
I think because of the effect that he's had on our team as a unit and been at the forefront of us turning around the way that we've been playing, and because of the confidence he's given some of these other underperforming players, I think he's got to go to Craig Dawson.
Craig Dawson. Okay, good shout. Jack?
Yeah, I mean, when they did the actual Player of the Year thing online, I voted for Neves. I mean, I get Dawson, but he only did half a season, didn't he? Same as Lamina, even though they've had a big impact.
Everybody else did, Jack, because half of them only played half a season.
Yeah, I'll go with Neves.
Ruben Neves. Okay, great. Sutty.
Dawson.
For the same sort of reasons
Dawson.
as Chris. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Amy?
The same, because if we hadn't have had Dawson come in, we would have been relegated, because we saw what happened at the back yesterday. So I don't think... Well, if Craig Dawson hadn't come in, Wolves would have been relegated, 100%.
Okay, great. Shout, Craig.
Yeah, same. Huge. He's been absolutely huge for us today. And he's made an impact, which is what my point about other players that are lording higher. Dawson, you can see, made a huge difference to Wolves. Huge difference.
Okay, I'm going to go with Neves with Jack. Dawson a very close second. And I say a special shout out to Lamina and Totti Gones, who I think, have both shown character and thing. But going with Neves the whole season, he's had the captaincy thrust on him. He's never shirked anything. He's always given 150%. He's never given up. He's held the dressing room together at times when things were really, really bad. His output hasn't been there, but I just think over the course of the season, he's been a great captain. Probably not as vocal as a Connor Cody or anything like that, but he's had a lot to carry on his shoulders, and he's always had humility, and he's always played for the bloody
Been
badge.
a credit to the club, Dave.
Pardon?
It's been a credit to the club. You can't stop him going. He's been an absolute credit.
No, and all of us, we thought he was gone last year, and you actually, there are some players in this team that you could probably turn around and go, do they care? Geddes, people like that, Pedence, I mean, my dad loves Pedence, and he's always, he's feisty, like what you said. Does he care? I don't know. Is he just, there's different characters? But Neves genuinely loves this city, our city, and he genuinely loves the club, and his family's grown up here, and it will always be, like as he said, he's been honest enough to say he wants to play Champions League football, but he will always be, in his world, the number one fan of Wolverhampton Wanders. He loves the club, the same as he loves Porto, I think, where he was, he's from. He's got that attachment, and we thank him, all of us, for 6 amazing years. And you never say never with Neves. I'll say farewell, because we thought last year, but it looks this year as if he will go. And he has actually said that if he doesn't go, and it was talked about again on Monday, he will sign a new contract, because he does not want Wolves to lose any value from him running down his contract and losing him for nothing. So if he doesn't get the move to Barcelona, or someone else doesn't come in and pay the money, he will sign a new contract. There'll probably be a buyout clause put in it and stuff like that, but he'll sign a new contract. So you can never say never with Neves. And I still think Traore might sign a new deal yet, but we'll see. Right. Going on to the last bit of the show now to finish off. We're coming up to the 2-hour mark, so it's an epic one. So this is your darkest moment, worst moment of the season, and your moment of the season. And Chris, you're first up.
It's been a very dark season.
The joy and the pain, mate.
So I have to say, I'm going to have to deal with the lightest part of the season first, because that's easy to identify in so much dark. Probably the 3-0, the 3 goals in the first half we scored against Liverpool. I didn't know what was going on that day, but it was fantastic. And those nights were that. Those nights.
Intensity, attacking intensity.
Yeah, just nothing like we've done all season, and nothing like we've done all season again. It was, I didn't know what the hell was going on, why it was happening now. I'm glad it did, because it was a good 3 points. It was a great performance against the club I despise. So that is the lightest part of my season, I think. Darkest part, I actually think it was yesterday. I actually think that performance was worse than Brighton. I think that's probably the worst performance I've seen from Wolves side for. I don't think I've seen a worse performance from a Wolves side. I went to a Watford Cup match away and we got beat 4-0 once, but that wasn't as bad as that.
Absolutely.
I think that was the darkest. And the worrying thing around that for me wasn't the first time that's happened this season. A couple of times we've been on the end of a bit of a thrashing. I don't remember a Wolves side ever losing by 5-0 more than once a season. In fact, the last time I remember us losing a load of goals was Southampton at home. Everybody talked about that game. And then I'm struggling to think of another time before that. That's how rare it is as a Wolves fan, and I didn't like it. So I'd say that was my darkest time yesterday.
Absolutely. Hold on. Just a second. There you go. I'm happy now. I'll just put that on the thing. 8 points up and you messed it up. There you go, Arsenal. Thank you very much. Bye. Yeah, absolutely. Jack, the dark and the light.
Darkest moment, I think, was being bottom for that World Cup break. That felt like a long 6-7 weeks, didn't it? When every time we looked at that league table, we were rock bottom and we looked dead and buried, didn't we? We were in a really bad position. And so, therefore, the light moment has to be the appointment of Lopetegui, which is why I'm so frustrated with all this nonsense that's coming out now about he wants to do this and he's threatening to walk, because I think he could be the best thing that happens to this club for a while if he is back, like Sutty and Craig have said. If he is backed, he will do great things at this football club because he is a top manager.
Absolutely. Over to you. We'll go with you, Craig, next.
Just before this season started, we've got a manager that came in on a run of 1 win in 13, and everybody thought that we were going to go into this season and that would change. His track record is not good. So my darkest moment was not sacking Large in pre-season, so that we got what I call a proper manager take us through the season. My lightest moment by far was beating a really good Vile side 1-0 and securing a season in the Premier next year, having looked absolutely dead in the water prior to the World Cup. Right, we were down, absolutely down. So it was a magnificent fight back. Great to beat our local rivals who were playing really well. So that was my bright spot of the season.
Fantastic. Ames, over to you.
I think we'll go darkest first. I think Cody going and then it all kind of falling to pieces at the start of the season, because there was obviously stuff that happened in the background, but you just thought before they got Dawson in, who is going to have the experience to hold it at the back when without his leadership, and you're in a relegation battle, you need someone like Cody to be there. But obviously that's kind of, they got Dawson and he kind of came in that role, and he's a lot better footballer than Cody is. So, but that at the time felt like bad. And then the lighter moment for me was actually Everton away after the break, because it just showed, I think, the fight and the difference that Lopetegui brought. I know it was very early on. Was it the first game? Second game? I can't remember.
First game.
It was the first game, but they were 1-0 down. They hadn't won a game that they'd fallen behind from since Villa, which was like 15 months ago. So, and they just seemed like a different team instantly. And I kind of thought then, I didn't want to be too cocky because it was, early days, but I thought, I think we're going to be okay at that time.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Good ones, that. Sooty?
My highs and lows all came on the same, Dave. And the low point was a 4-0 defeat at home to Leicester. And the high point was in the same day when Molyneux turned and let Jeff Shee know that Scott Sellers had to go. And that was the changing point to our season, because if that man had remained in charge, we would be a championship side now, Dave.
I love it, mate. Absolutely love it. Absolutely brilliant. For me, the darkest point, they often say it's darkest just before the dawn, don't they? Let's sack large. And then we went into this, which is kind of a bit where we are at the moment, this uncertain period of like who's going to be manager, the managerial chase. We're bottom, we're trying to get the manager in. We nearly ended up with Ian Beale, thank God. Otherwise, we would have been a at the end. And eventually we got Lopetegui, but that was the darkest moment because there was so much. We were bottom and we were just like rudderless, completely rudderless. And obviously Lopetegui's thing, the lightest moment, I like the bit what Amy said about the Everton. There hasn't been a lot of joy, limbs, as I would say, but the limbs that day were incredible. I was stood on a chair at Everton 10 minutes after the final whistle with my scarf going round like this. Oh, that's why you do it, for last minute goals, and fantastic. Also, the Southampton game. That game, I don't think you can put any money on how that turned our season. That game, that day.
Yeah.
Lamina getting sent off for being the third person to walk up to the ref, which is a brand new rule just brought in to punish Wolves. We've had 5 sendings off this year as well. I know. And then coming back and having the character with 10 men to come back and win that game was incredible. That showed to me it was a team that was up for the fight. We did it. And then another bit, the Liverpool game, obviously, but also I love the Núñez goal. That one goal, that moment for him.
Chelsea.
Yeah, what a goal. Fantastic. So there hasn't been a lot of joy, but there has been some. But we've ended up being safe. And now the dawn has, we've broken into the dawn of this new era, to put a metaphor. The sun has come out, but there's been clouds floating around and blocking the thing. And now we've got this sort of fog. We've got the fog that's descended on this at midday. Looking forward to the next day. And this fog needs to clear, and we need to see the path that we're going, and everyone needs to be on it. And that's my hope for the next 2 weeks, that they all get on this path, whether it's the yellow brick road and they're going down to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They need to be on the path, and we all need to get on. When they've got that path, we all need to get on it, and let's hope that they don't end up with a load of potholes in that road. And that's my wish and my hope. What's your hope? Yeah.
Just quickly, Dave, I can say it all the time to you. Never forget, Dave, that we are the constants in this club.
100%.
We'll be here while everybody else goes. And we proved our worth, Dave, after that Leicester game. That we needed to get out of this club. It was toxic. And we changed that, Dave. And if we all stick together, we'll rise again, Dave.
Absolutely. And, let's keep as we say, we keep the faith. There is a lot of uncertainty at the moment, and that's the concern. It's like we don't want to turn into this rudderless ship and go off the rails again when we've just got ourselves back on the rails. We need to be powering forward, and let's hope they sort it out. And I'm told that, that sometimes people listen to podcasts and watch shows and stuff like that to get in touch of the mood and stuff. I can tell you for a full fact now that if they proverbially, I'm not going to swear, mess this up, the backlash of the Wolves fans will be on an unprecedented scale, because we will not accept it again. The fans, you can just feel the fans at the moment. They're just like, okay, let's keep calm. It's, and they must know that if they mess this, the fans are going to turn in a big, big way. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Well done, Jeff, Hobbs, Julian, for getting us out the hole. We applaud you for that. Well done. You made the decisions you got together, and we applaud it. Make the right decisions for this club now over the next couple of weeks, and let's get this club back into the top half and having a great season and playing some entertaining football and scoring some goals. And let's go for a cup as well. Let's not surrender those like we do. Anyway, final thoughts. Final words from Sutty. Just one-liner, Sutty.
Out of darkness cometh light, Dave.
Craig.
Newcastle and Aston Villa were almost relegated last season, and that one's in Champions League football and the other one's in the Europa League. That'll be for me next year.
Fantastic. Ames.
See you next year more.
Hopefully we will see you more next year. Chris.
Yeah, big summer. It's the best performing Wolves side I've had in my sporting life, having had this many consecutive seasons in the Premier League. Big summer. They need to maintain it. Big task on the board and the manager. And
finally, the voice of reason, Jack, and you've got a role to play now, mate, my son, on that shadow board. Your final thoughts to leave us with tonight?
The strength of the wolf is in the pack. Stick together, stay strong, we'll be fine.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you ever so much. It's been an epic show tonight. I knew what it would be. Thank you to all of our guests and pundits and fans that have come on. Thanks. If you've enjoyed in the channel, please smash a like on the video. If you're brand new, subscribe. Thanks for all your support for the season. Please stay tuned, because we will be covering everything summer, all the breaking news, everything. We'll be getting it out to you. We'll be doing some live shows and stuff as well. So make sure you got the bell on. And from all of us to your family, friends, wherever you support Wolves in the world, it doesn't matter. You're all part, as what Jack says, one pack. We're all part of the pack. Love to you and your families. And from all of us, always Wolves.
Always Wolves.
Always.